Hello, everyone. First of all, I would like to greet everyone. We'll be starting in like 2 minutes or something. So I'm requesting all our delegates to open their cameras on. Dear delegates, we're all waiting for our other delegates to open their cameras at the same time. Delegates, can you hear us?
Yes.
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 Yeah, we can.
Yes.
When we will start?
We will start when all of our delegates open their cameras on. Okay, we think we can start with our fellow chair.
Okay, so we want to welcome every single delegate to this MUN. We're going to start by the roll call. Dear Chair, do you have the roll call list?
Of course, Chair. Let me start.
Okay.
China.
Present and voting.
India. Germany. Is Germany present?
Present.
Italy. Italy is not present. Turkey. France.
Present.
UK.
Present and voting.
Russia. Russia is not present. Kuwait.
Present.
Canada. Okay. Japan.
Present.
Netherlands. Netherlands is not present. Argentina. Argentina is not present. Switzerland. Switzerland, can you hear us? Okay. Norway is not present. Greece. Okay. Sweden. Mexico. Mexico, are you present? Egypt. Okay. United Arab Emirates.
Egypt is present.
Okay. Brazil. Brazil, are you present? Delegate of Brazil?
I am not the delegate of Brazil.
Okay. I guess the roll call is done at this point.
Wait, but my country wasn't listed.
Okay. We can start, Chair.
What's your country?
Iceland.
So we can add Iceland? Okay. Would you please add that, please? Okay, so are there any other delegates that we didn't mention the country of? Okay, seeing none, I think we can move on to the motions. So do I see any motions in the house?
We could start with opening speeches.
Oh, right, okay. We apologize. So do I see any delegates that are willing to deliver their speech? Okay, Iceland, followed by Germany, followed by Britain. Dear Chair, can you please write the followers? Because
Of course, Chair.
okay, so Iceland, you may take the floor.
Honorable chairs and dear delegates, we are honored and proud to be here in this wonderful day. Today was a very cold day. Still, I managed to enjoy my way over here thanks to the warmth of my coat and the energy I gained after a lovely meal. Using heat and electricity and drinking hot beverages is what I like most about days like these. But in beautiful days like these, children are suffering and dying as a result of this cold weather. What we consider a lovely evening is what other people consider imminent death. A few days ago, my little brother fell and broke his hand. And I thought in my mind, how does such a little fall break his hand? I kept wondering, how fragile are children? And then it occurred to me, how do few children who live in tents deal with this weather? How does their fragile bodies cope with all what's happening to them? It hit me that how does the children in Syria live normally when a bomb can hit them at any point? How can children cope with the fact that they have to work to provide for their family because their parents was killed or injured? How can they handle the hunger, the fear, the diseases, and the truth that there will be no future in which can change? Wake up to reality. The world is not as pleasant as we convince ourselves to be. Children all over the world are facing stuff that no human should be facing. Wake up to reality. We live in a world where children in Syria, Egypt, Palestine, Myanmar, India, China, and many more countries are being slaughtered, killed, and tortured for no fault of their own. Wake up to reality, where children are forced to work for hours in many countries as cheap labor to provide for their families until they break down and collapse. Wake up to reality, where children are dying from flu because they do not have access to medicine, from cold weather because they do not have access to heat, from hunger because they do not have access to food. This is the brutal reality we are living in, and as long as we do nothing to protect the rights of those who will come after us, our children, our future, this reality will never change. But I come here with hope that we will make our best to change this reality, that we will help to protect the children, that we will guarantee them the right to be safe, the right to learn, the right to be well fed, and the right to having an honorable life, and the right to dream of a better future. We cannot change what happened in the past, and we can do nothing hoping for a better future. We can only do what we do right here and right now. Yesterday is a history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift from God. That's why it's called the present. Thank you.
Delegate of Iceland, thank you for your amazing speech. Delegate of Germany, the floor is yours.
Delegate of Germany, we can't hear you.
Honorable chairs and fellow delegates, the delegation of Germany believe that reducing child mortality is crucial to our United Nations Assembly. This delegate feels that the problem of children dying before the age of 5 requires immediate attention because the death of future generation would be detrimental to our society. Under Article 6 in the Convention of Rights, the child have the right to live and government should ensure that children survive and develop healthy. Therefore, these delegates believe that we need to have a constructive debate to find the best solution in the matter of questions. Because children don't deserve to die at the age of 5 or under and they should live. So let's find a good solution and we yield the chair back to the floor.
Thank you, Delegate of Germany. Britain, the floor is yours.
Honourable Chair and fellow delegates, as a delegation of Britain, we are very honoured to be here and we aspire to have a useful debate. Our topic, children's rights. One of the things we care about most in UK. For example, we are part of the Equality Act 2010, which protects children, young people and adults against discrimination, harassment and victimization in relation to housing, education, clubs, the provision of services and work. So, as a delegation of UK, we are ready to do our best for this and we want everyone to do the same. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Delegate of Britain. Are there any other delegates wishing to deliver their opening speech? Friends, the floor is yours.
Do I see any followers? Japan? Okay, France, you may take the floor.
Honorable chairs and fellow delegates, in today's world, children are being used against their wills at some countries. Some of the countries are using children against their rights to their advantage. They are taking away the right to life of those children. That's why we are here. As a delegate of France, we are here to protect those children's rights and give them a life they deserve. Thank you. Yield the floor back to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate of France. Japan, the floor is yours, followed by Kuwait.
Konnichiwa, you honorable chair, esteemed teachers and distinguished delegates. We are claimed to use the convention's goals as a cornerstone for improving policy measures to protect children. Among the steps taken is the creation of the Headquarters for Youth Development, chaired by the Prime Minister, to better coordinate policy among all relevant branches of government. The headquarters formulated the National Youth Development Policy to serve as a framework to indicate the government's basic principles and to direct medium and long-term measures. Finally, a mandate for the new Minister of State for Youth Affairs and Ministers for declining birth rate was established to achieve further cooperation amongst government agencies. Thanks.
Thank you, Delegate of Japan. Delegate of Kuwait, you may deliver your speech.
Childhood is the most important stage in a human's life. Article 9 of the Kuwaiti Constitution affirms that the family is the base of society in which motherhood and childhood are protected. Honorable Chair, fellow delegates and guests, in 1991, Kuwait ratified the Convention on the Rights of the Child, and in 2015, Kuwait issued a children's rights law, but for some reasons, the war couldn't solve children's rights, and today we will try to find a suitable solution for children's rights where every country should accept it. Thank you for your listen.
Thank you, Delegate of Kuwait. Are there any delegates left who didn't deliver their opening speech?
Delegate, you may give your speech.
Fellow delegates and honorable chairs, the Czech Republic sees the importance of attending this meeting. The Czech Republic has ratified the vast majority of the international conventions for the protection of human rights and of the rights of children. In the meantime, realization of Children's Rights Index in Czech Republic is 904/10. Nevertheless, whilst the situation is sufficient on the whole, numerous violations of children's rights still occur. Discrimination against children, particularly Romani or disabled children, persists and is even worsening in some cases. The Czech Republic believes that every human being has rights to live without violence, and every child must be educated equally, has equal access to treatment opportunities, and punishment, if it's really necessary, must be just. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Are there any delegates that are wishing to deliver their speech? Do I see anyone? Okay.
Seeing none, we may move on to the motion stage.
Delegate of Mexico wants to.
Excuse me?
Ibrahim wants to. Mexico.
Okay, Mexico, you can deliver your speech.
Delegate of Mexico, are you going to deliver your opening speech, or did we misunderstand?
I think they are.
I'm sorry, I'm late.
It's okay, you may take the floor.
Fellow delegates and honorable chair, in today's modern world, around 160 million children ages from 5 to 17 are being engaged in child labor. These children exploited because they are often underpaid compared to an adult doing the same job, work in difficult conditions, and put their health in danger on a daily basis, which deprive them from their childhood, interfere with schooling, and harm their mental, physical, or social development. As the delegate of Mexico, we are working on giving these children education and the life that they deserve. Thank you, and yield the floor back to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate of Mexico. It was a great speech, by the way. Did we forget any other delegates?
I believe
Are
I'm
there
the
any
last one.
delegates? Who is?
Egypt.
Oh, Egypt. Okay, you may deliver your speech.
Dear delegates of the House and honorable chairs, today I would like to share with you my thoughts about child labor. What are the causes of child labor, you might ask? Not all work performed by children is child labor. It is defined by international standards as work that is hazardous, demands too many hours, or is performed by children who are too young. Children work because their survival depends on it, because adults take advantage of their age, and because national systems are too weak. Child labor is sometimes the result of ingrained customs and traditions. Thank you. Back to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate of Egypt. Are there any delegates that are willing to give an opening speech? Any other delegates? Seeing none, I think we can move on to the motions. Do I see any motions in the house?
Are there any motions in the house? Delegate of Germany.
Please open your mic and say motions because.
Motion.
Okay, motion Germany, motion Japan, motion Iceland.
Japan, followed by Iceland, followed by France. Are there any other motions in the house?
Do I see any other motions? Okay, seeing none, we'll be voting upon those three motions. Delegate of Germany, will you please rephrase your motion?
Motion to have a moderated caucus about child labor. Speaking time 10 minutes, for individually 1 minute.
That will be in order. So
Delegate
moderated
of Japan. You may say your motion.
Education rights.
That will be in order.
Okay, Delegate of Iceland, you may deliver your
Also,
motion.
I think the delegation of Kuwait has a motion, so followed by Kuwait.
Child labor.
Thank you, Delegate of Iceland. Delegate of France, followed by Delegate of Kuwait.
It was child labor.
Thank you, Delegate of France. And Delegate of Kuwait, you may deliver your motion.
Child labor.
Thank you. So since the first delegate to say the child labor is Delegate of Germany, we will be voting upon child labor now. The delegates who are wishing to be discussing about child labor, just raise your placards or your hand.
Second.
Okay, so do I see any objections?
Last. Give me a second.
Are there any objections in the House? Seeing none. Delegate of Germany, could you rephrase your motion again since it passed?
To have a moderated caucus about child labor. Time 15 minutes, individual speaking 1.5 minutes.
Point of personal privilege. Could you say the individual and total time again? And if you want to be the first or the last speaker.
The total time is 15 minutes, but can the delegate please make it less since we don't think.
Okay, total time 8 minutes, individual speaking 1 minute. I want to be first.
That will be in order. Germany, you have the floor.
Honorable chairs and dear delegates, today I want to talk about an important topic that is a major threat to children's rights, and that is child labor. Child labor is a crime where children are forced to work at a very young age. It's considered an illegal activity in many countries because children between the age of 5 and 15 are not ready to work anywhere. It is sad to see that the age at which children should enjoy childhood are forced to work and enter adulthood. Millions of children around the world are forced to work, which robs them of having a happy childhood, education, and a good future. Child labor remains to be a serious challenge to the happiness of children. That's why I wish all delegates here to find a solution to the matter through a good and a constructive debate. We yield the floor back to the chair.
Thank you, delegate. Are there any delegates that are wishing to deliver a speech upon this motion?
Iceland.
Iceland, followed by France, followed by Britain, followed by Kuwait. Okay, Iceland, you may have the floor.
Every child has the right to grow in adulthood in health, peace, and dignity. Young children are vulnerable and dependent on adults for basic needs such as food, healthcare, and education. Worldwide, 280 million children between 5 and 17 years are in employment. In the world's poorest countries, around 1 in 4 children are engaged in work that's potentially harmful to their health. Among 152 million children in child labor, 88 million are boys and 68 million are girls, and 1 in 5 children in Africa is working in child labor. And we hope that we can find a truthful solution to end child labor around all the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of Iceland.
Who has the floor now?
France has the floor.
France, you may take the floor.
Honorable chairs and fellow delegates. In today's world, almost 70% of the worldwide child population is using labor force in their countries. This is a horrific statistic for the world. As the delegate of France, we believe that the bosses who use children as labor force should be punished in law in their countries. Some of the countries still doesn't have any laws against child labor. As the United Nations, we have to punish those countries who don't have any laws against child labor. Thank you. We yield the floor back to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate of France. Britain, you have the floor.
As a delegation of Britain, we totally agree with delegations of Germany and France. We as European countries have always been supporting children's rights. Employing children labor is absolutely against the law, and as you all know, we as European countries are the ones who value and obey the law the most. So, we demand all other countries to give importance to this issue and support us in this topic. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Delegate of Britain, for your speech. Delegate of Kuwait, you have the floor.
Honorable Chair, dear delegates, child labor is not widespread in Kuwait, and where it exists, it's due to the malpractices of parents who push their children to the streets for quick profits without regard to the potential risks of exposure to physical and psychological exploitation. The executive regulation of Kuwait's Child Rights Law number 21 of 2015 stipulates that child labor should be prohibited in 22 occupations and industries to avoid endangering the health or morals of the child. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Delegate of Kuwait. Are there any other delegates wishing to speak?
Me.
Delegate of Mexico, followed by Delegate of Japan.
Followed by Iceland.
With the prior
Delegate
permission
of Mexico, you have the floor.
With the prior permission of the Executive Board, the delegate of Mexico would like to speak on the topic of child labor. The term child labor is defined as work that deprives children of their childhood and their dignity and is very harmful for their physical, mental, and social development, with addition that it interferes with their schooling. 8.7% of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals calls for an end to child labor in all its forms by 2025. It is estimated that a quarter of Mexican children live in poverty. These children are confronted with numerous difficulties with regards to upholding their rights. They have difficult accessing education and healthcare and housing. Poverty, which affects a large part of the population, is reasonable for the high rate of child labor. Around 3.5 million Mexican children work carrying wood or cement or as servants. They work all year around or just during the harvest season with rock bottom salary, and very little of them receive schooling. Mexico faces child labor is a cause against children's rights and needs to be dealt with as soon as possible. In 2020, Mexico has made a significant advancement in eliminating the worst forms of child labor. State governments investigated and prosecuted at least 200 child trafficking cases. The government also approved the creation of a national network of local committees to prevent the radical child labor and protect adolescent workers of the permitted age to improve coordination for efforts to address the worst forms of child labor. Yield floor back to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate of
Thank you
Mexico.
so much, Delegate. That was amazing. So as promised, Delegate of Japan, will you please take the floor?
Children may be driven into work for various reasons. Most often, child labor occurs when families face financial challenges or uncertainty, whether due to poverty, sudden illness of a caregiver, or job loss of a primary wage earner. Child labor can result in extreme bodily and mental harm, and even death. In nearly every case, it cuts children off from schooling and healthcare, restricting their fundamental rights and threatening their futures. In order to correct this situation, as a delegate of Japan, we will provide financial support to unemployed families with children. We will also do our best to find jobs in government offices for those families as soon as possible to end child labor. Thanks.
Thank you, Delegate of Japan. Delegate of Iceland, you may take the floor.
I offer giving families with children support money if the families will send their children to school and not to the workplace. We as Iceland believe that children must have rights as survival rights, development rights, and freedom rights. They have the rights to have a shelter, to have access to medicine and food. They have the rights to play, and they have the rights to get educated as all of the humans, not depending on if they're a girl or boy, if they're poor or rich. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of Iceland. Chair, is our time has lapsed?
I think our time for this motion has elapsed. So do I see any more motions in the house?
Motion now, voting upon France's motion, which was education rights.
It was not my motion, by the way.
I think it was Japan's motion.
Japan, was it your motion?
Yes.
I'm sorry for confusing. We will be voting upon Japan's motion, which is education rights. Delegates who would like to be second for that, in favor for that, raise your placards.
Second. Any objections?
Second.
Seeing none. So, Delegate
By
of
the way,
Japan.
just a quick reminder, we're sorry, but can the delegates please make sure that they're using the plural form? So please don't use I, please use we.
I agree with our chair. So, Delegate of Japan, could you rephrase the time individually in total? And if you want to be the first speaker or the last speaker?
I want to be first speaker.
Okay, how many minutes should we talk upon this motion?
I think 5 minutes is okay.
Okay, 5 minutes. Do you want to set any individual speaking time?
1 minute or 30 seconds.
Okay, that will be in order. So Japan, you have the floor.
May I start?
Yes, you can go ahead.
In every country, in every neighborhood, in every house, every child has the right to receive quality education beyond just sitting in a classroom, and this education must begin in the first years of life, which is the most important stage in brain development. We need to make quality and equitable investments without delay, otherwise we will have to pay the price of a generation of children who are destined to grow up without the knowledge and skills necessary to realize their potential. Thanks.
Thank you, Delegate of Japan. Are there any delegates wishing to speak upon this motion? A Delegate of Iceland, followed by Delegate of France, followed by Delegate of Britain.
Can I start?
You may start, Delegate.
Iceland, you have the floor.
Okay, so we as a delegate of Iceland believe that we must put a consequence for those countries who do not follow the child rights. As for example, I did some research about the poorest countries, and I found out that one of the countries with us right now is India. India is the fifth worst country to be a child in education and child rights generally. We must give consequences to those who do not follow the child rights rules. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate of Iceland.
The delegate of India, do you have anything in reply?
No, thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, delegate. Who was promised?
It
Go
was me, delegate of France.
Okay, delegate of France, you have the floor.
Honorable chairs and fellow delegates, education is one of the top 5 rights of children, and it has been accepted by United Nations. So as a delegate of France, we think there is no problem for the children's education right. Thank you. We yield the floor back to the chair.
Thank you, delegate.
Thank you, delegate of France. Delegate of Britain, you may have. Delegate of Iceland, do you have a motion to follow?
Do I have a motion to follow? Okay, I will. As I think it was France who spoke recently, right?
Yes, it's Britain's floor.
It's Britain.
Do you have a point of information or anything? If you have, we can.
If you have a motion to follow up, that will be granted.
Yeah, I have a motion to follow.
Okay, you can go ahead.
If we do as France said, we will not. Nothing will happen, because if we just care about ourselves, nothing will happen. We cannot change the world like that. Many countries like China have tried that before and it failed.
Point of response, please.
Delegate of France, it's granted.
We are talking about the rights, not the struggles. We are talking about the rights. The rights are approved by United Nations. There is no problem about the children's rights.
Motion to follow up.
Granted.
Maybe in France all the rights are granted and children are not having a problem. But if France doesn't help other countries, the world will have a problem. I think like if you can be your own, we want to fix a worldwide problem, not a country.
Point of response, please.
The floor is yours, delegate of France.
So we are trying to tell you that there is no problem of rights. If they can't reach the education, that's not about the laws. Like they can't reach it. Like it's their rights, okay, but they can't reach it. But it's still their rights. The United Nations has approved the rights. Top 5 rights of the one of the rights of the children is education, and it's approved in the United Nations. So there's no problem about the rights of the children in law.
Motion to follow up.
Will that be granted, Chair?
Just one motion.
Okay, that will be granted.
If they cannot reach it, then explain how can children not reach education in countries not like maybe in India, okay, but like countries like Myanmar, China, these countries, I think they do have the education, like they do have education, but they're forcing their children to child labor, to work and not to educate, not to play, and not to have the freedom to choose. If France can help us choose this worldwide, if France can help us solve this worldwide problem, it will be great to help countries like India and to put consequences to countries that have education but are not giving it.
Thank you, delegate of Iceland.
Motion to follow up.
Delegate of China, of course you may speak, but we have a small amount of time for this motion, so we would like to warn you for that.
Okay, so we just want to say, is the delegate of Iceland aware that China is the best country of all in all shape, ways, and forms?
Motion to follow up.
Granted
That
by
will
the
be the
chair,
last motion
but it's
that's
gonna be
gonna
the last
granted.
one.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. If China is the best country in everything, then why is it killing people?
Okay, Delegate of Britain, you
Overruled
have the
chair.
floor,
This
as
motion
promised.
is.
So, sorry, Delegate of
Okay,
China,
Britain have
it's
the
not
floor.
granted.
It's okay.
Thank you,
It's okay.
Chair.
We're gonna overrule the motion, but okay, Britain, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Education, which is the fundamental right of all children, is unfortunately underestimated and ignored by some countries. As a result of this support not given to children, the education level of countries decreases and thus they move or slip further from being a developed country. In other words, these countries should be very careful because if they do not do something about it soon, we are ready to give the necessary answer as Europe. Thank you.
Thank you,
Delegate of
delegates.
Britain.
Are there any more promised delegates? If none, we can.
No, the 5 minutes has actually passed and time for this motion has elapsed.
Okay, so do we take the last motion of our today or?
Ataman Hocam, what do you think about at this point?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you, Pelin.
Should we take our last motion of the day or should we just end it?
Whatever you want, it's up to you.
Okay, maybe we can vote.
Delegates, would you like to keep on doing with the motions or
Yes.
closing it for today? Delegates who are
Okay,
in
so do I
favor.
see any seconds for the motion? Any seconds?
Second.
Point of personal privilege.
Yes.
Can you rephrase the motion?
Excuse us.
Can you rephrase the motion?
We're voting upon if you would like to keep on arguing with motions
So if we
or ending it for today. So the delegates who would like to keep on with one more motion, just raise your placards.
Iceland.
Or hand. Or say second.
Second, Iceland.
Okay, do I see any objections?
Objection.
Okay. I think the objections are the majority, right?
Yes, seen yes.
Okay, so we're waiting for a special motion.
Motion Iceland.
Motion Iceland.
Motion to end the conference.
We can say suspend the meeting. So will the delegate? Okay. Motion to suspend the meeting that will be granted. Thank you, delegates, for attending.
Thank you, everyone.
I hope we kill China soon.